Logan Paul's decades-long career on YouTube has been marked by a constant stream of controversies, and few have done more long-term damage to his reputation on the internet than the whole CryptoZoo scandal. But after years of accusations and lawsuits, the court has decided that Logan did nothing wrong. Or at least, that's what it looks like on the surface. The reality is a bit more complex. However, if this ruling sticks, it's going to be a total disaster for CoffeeZilla, who's currently fighting a defamation lawsuit Logan filed against him for calling him a scammer. Hi, I'm the Internet Anarchist. I create weekly YouTube documentaries, and today we're covering the latest updates in the Logan Paul CryptoZoo scandal, how the court dismissed Logan Paul from the class action lawsuit, what it means for his lawsuit against CoffeeZilla, and why this isn't as big of a victory as Logan is hoping it to be. That said, the thing I'm hoping for is for you to subscribe, so hit that subscribe button and let's get on with the video. Now, I have already covered CoffeeZilla's expose of the alleged CryptoZoo scam and any updates that came out after in great detail. But if you haven't seen those videos or just need a refresher, here's a super quick recap to get you up to speed. It all started back on the 18th of August 2021, when after months of hyping up NFTs on his socials, Logan Paul announced his very own crypto NFT project called CryptoZoo.
For the last 6 months, I've been working on my own NFT project that I believe is going to change the game.
This was going to be a game of sorts where people could buy NFT eggs that would hatch into animals. Owners could then breed those animals into unique hybrids and sell their creations on the marketplace, presumably for a profit. And all of this, of course, was backed by a crypto coin called Zoo Token as well. The whole thing was marketed as a really fun game that makes you money. People bought into the hype and purchased the egg NFTs, but when it came time to deliver on the rest of the promises, the whole thing fell apart. The constant delays made the investors suspect that maybe it was all a scam, something that became almost certain once CoffeeZilla published his investigation into the project in December 2022.
It's a really fun game that makes you money.
A fun game that earns you money? How much did you guys make from CryptoZoo?
I lost around $50,000 in CryptoZoo.
I lost $40,000.
I lost around 15,000 US dollars.
I lost $25,000.
$120,000.
$500,000 Australian, which is $500,000 in CryptoZoo.
Shut up! No, you haven't!
Yeah, 500K.
Oh.
What followed was one of the biggest reputational collapses of any creator on YouTube, where Logan went from the annoying guy who did that one bad thing in Japan years ago to a scammer who allegedly robbed millions from his own fans. This eventually resulted in the victims filing a class action lawsuit against Logan and the other people behind CryptoZoo in February 2023. And as we mentioned earlier, CoffeeZilla's investigation and reporting on the CryptoZoo fiasco were the main reasons things ever reached to this point. So in August 2024, Logan filed a defamation lawsuit against CoffeeZilla, essentially for calling him a scammer.
Logan Paul is suing me for CryptoZoo, only a year after he thanked me for it. Rather than pay back his victims fully, Logan would rather publicly humiliate himself in court by accusing me of defaming him. He's hired 5 lawyers to sue me, which he hopes will stop me from exposing him again.
This forced CoffeeZilla to stop talking about the CryptoZoo project publicly. However, it did little to mend Logan's ruined reputation and only made things worse. Trying to silence an investigative journalist is always a great sign of innocence. Logan Paul dealing with the consequences of his own actions, impossible. The fact he'd rather go through all this and hire 5 lawyers rather than pay some people back some money is wild. Definition of a scumbag. Now, the thing about lawsuits like these is that between pleadings, discovery, motions, trials, and appeals, they can take years to reach a verdict. Progress is usually slow, and there aren't any major updates for long periods of time. And that's where these lawsuits stood as well. Though one major difference here was that the internet already had an idea of what was going on. Most people expected Logan to lose both cases, as he did promote a crypto service that turned out to be an alleged scam. And once that was confirmed, CoffeeZilla calling him out on it would be considered a fact and non-defamatory, effectively by default. That is, until a single seemingly out of nowhere update flipped flipped everything on its head. On the 29th of October 2025, news came out that the CryptoZoo-related lawsuit against Logan Paul was thrown out by a federal judge. The official filing stated, "Defendant Logan Paul's motion to dismiss is hereby granted, as to all counts and all 27 of plaintiff's claims be dismissed. As to counts 1 to 26, plaintiffs are granted leave to amend. As to count 27, plaintiff's claim is hereby dismissed with prejudice." Logan's attorney, Jeff Nyman, also told TMZ that the quote, "District judge reaffirmed that ruling, holding once again that no reasonable juror could find Logan's statements misleading or fraudulent." And as you might imagine, Logan couldn't have been happier, especially since this dismissal was coincidentally confirmed on the day of his wedding.
Literally, right before you walk down the aisle.
If I'm here, you know it's good news.
What's the news,
The
Jeff?
transaction dismissed. The whole thing got dismissed.
Yes, bro. The whole thing?
18 months. 18 months we waited for that. It happened literally minutes before you walked down the aisle.
That's a good sign for
Go! That is sick!
The internet's reaction to it, however, was less than stellar, with a tweet mockingly stating, "In America, crime is legal," in response to the news, receiving over 230,000 likes. Many also agreed with Zach XBT, a known voice in the crypto space, who wrote, "Sad how antiquated laws allow bad actors to continually abuse inefficiencies within crypto from different jurisdictions. If you promote a project tied to the value of tokens and little to nothing is delivered, thus leading to serious financial harm, you should be held accountable. It's common sense, and this was a simple case." However, while Logan's dismissal from the case could jeopardize justice for many of the victims of this CryptoZoo alleged scam, that's only the tip of the iceberg. The person who stands to potentially lose the most from this update is CoffeeZilla, the one who exposed the alleged scam to the public in the first place. You see, the primary point Logan is trying to prove in his defamation lawsuit is that CoffeeZilla ruined his reputation by labeling him as a scammer when that is not true. Up until recently, CoffeeZilla's main defense against this defamation claim was that Logan is a scammer who defrauded his own fans. Just look at the lawsuit he's involved in. Most importantly, the last time we looked at this case, things weren't looking good for Logan. Messages between Logan and a friend were made public in the lawsuit's discovery phase, and they revealed that he wasn't doing this for genuine compensation. Instead, his apparent motive was to just punish CoffeeZilla for exposing him and turn him into an example for anyone who dared to speak out against him in the future. Reading, "To let others know it's not worth coming at you. There's a price to pay." That's the idea. I see momentum building because the throne is being shook right now. Need to shut it down. Public humiliation is always more effective. Totally agree. On other occasions, Logan also wrote things like, "Just to make his life difficult, Zilla will pay one way or another. I'll make sure of it. I want people who wronged me to suffer. And while I continue getting wins on their grave." He also referred to himself as a quote petty billionaire as well, implying that he was only suing CoffeeZilla out of spite. Put together, this was great evidence that could have definitely helped CoffeeZilla win the case. And it still might. But as things stand right now, the chances of him coming out on top are looking rather slim. With him being removed from the CryptoZoo case, Logan has a real argument against CoffeeZilla. His legal team can now point to that dismissal as proof of his innocence, and by extension, CoffeeZilla's blatant defamation. And if things do play out that way, it would be disastrous for CoffeeZilla. Starting with the money he'd have to pay Logan. The amount of damages Logan is seeking from this case hasn't been made public yet, but it's safe to assume that he's looking to extract millions from CoffeeZilla. And unlike Logan, CoffeeZilla isn't a mega-rich influencer with hundreds of millions burning a hole through his pocket. The second, arguably worse risk of losing to Logan is the reputational hit. We actually saw something like this happen when Carl Jobs lost his highly public defamation case against Billy Mitchell, and was clowned on the internet for it. That said, Carl did allegedly mislead his audience about the specifics of the case, something I don't believe CoffeeZilla would ever do. So what's going to happen between CoffeeZilla and Logan Paul moving forwards? Well, it's hard to say. but we can make some educated guesses based on everything we know. And one of the first factors to consider is the CryptoZoo case Logan was dropped from. You see, everything we've covered about his dismissal so far isn't the whole truth, but you wouldn't be wrong to think that it was. When the news first broke, every coverage of it painted it as a complete victory for Logan, like the viral Dexeto post on Twitter which stated, "Logan Paul's CryptoZoo lawsuit has been thrown out by a federal judge," or the TMZ article that parroted a quote from Logan's lawyer without verifying it first. Even Logan's own video celebrating it like it just won everything gave people the wrong idea. What really happened is that 26 out of the 27 claims against him were dismissed without prejudice, and only one was dismissed with prejudice. For those unfamiliar with legal terms, a case being dismissed with prejudice prevents the plaintiff, the person who filed the lawsuit, from doing so again. On the other hand, when a case is dismissed without prejudice, the plaintiff is given time to modify their case and possibly try again. So 26 out of the 27 claims against Logan can come back in the near future. But that's not all. Another important point to note is that when a motion to dismiss is granted, like it is for Logan, it is not necessarily because they were in the right or telling the truth. This has nothing to do with what is and isn't fact. Instead, a motion to dismiss is approved when a judge believes the claim made by the plaintiffs aren't relevant or sufficient enough, regardless of how true or untrue they are. In other words, this dismissal does not prove Logan's innocence one bit. Everything he was accused of could still be true. And that's exactly the direction things seem to be headed, because as I was working on this video, the opposition successfully filed an amended complaint against Logan. This new version fixes nearly every issue the judge brought up in his dismissal. It's also nearly twice as long as the previous filing. And for a good reason. The amended complaint includes mountains of newly discovered evidence, completely destroying Logan's defense. For instance, he's always tried to shift the blame onto his CryptoZoo partners, going as far as to claim he didn't make a single cent from the project. He even repeated this claim in his recent video celebrating the so-called victory.
I never sold a fucking token. I never made $1 from this project.
But as it turns out, this was allegedly nothing more than a bold-faced lie, as according to the filing, Logan pocketed over $1.3 million from the egg NFT sales in the first month of the project going live. And this was just the tip of the iceberg. In his voice calls with investors, he went as far as to claim that the game was so fun, even the developers' kids were addicted to it.
I can't wait for you guys to see the game. It's so much fun. I'm addicted to it. My friends are addicted to it. Every developer is addicted to it. Every other person on the team. We love playing it.
When, in reality, the game didn't even exist at this point. He was once again straight up lying to his own fans. Even his grand claim about hiring a dozen artists to create the animal hybrids turned out to be a lie as well. His team simply purchased stock images of animals and poorly mashed them together in Photoshop. Worst of all, he kept shilling for CryptoZoo even when he knew the project was completely dead behind the scenes. As the amended complaint alleges, Paul refused to approve completion of the actual CryptoZoo game, claiming it was too expensive. In truth, Paul had no intent to complete the project. He had already realized his profits and sought to only maintain appearances. Throughout 2022, Paul continued making empty public promises, insisting that artists were working around the clock and that he was never giving up, despite knowing full well that development had stopped entirely. These are just a handful of the many alleged lies that were exposed in the new complaint, leaving little room for Logan's legal team to form an effective defense. These developments are also a saving grace for CoffeeZilla, whose situation was starting to look grim. Truth is always the best defense against defamation cases, and if Logan is proven guilty of scamming his audience in the CryptoZoo lawsuit, his case against CoffeeZilla is as good as dead. Besides, even if Logan somehow manages to truly win both cases, he'll likely never outgrow the scammer allegations. The internet's reaction to the dismissal being "justice is dead" instead of "congratulations to Logan" already proves that a positive outcome from the cases will not improve his reputation one bit. The court of public opinion has already reached its decision, and rightfully so. Logan hasn't done anything to prove his innocence and regain his audience's trust. He promised to refund a portion of the losses to all CryptoZoo investors back in January 2024, but as of writing this video, there haven't been any updates on that matter. Even the website he linked in this tweet for getting refunds is now defunct and redirects to the service he used to create it. Put simply, it's looking to be only downhill for Logan from here. If he wins, people will chalk that up to the justice system being rigged in the favor of the rich. And if he loses either of these cases, he'll be clowned for it for the rest of his career, just like Amy Schumer, whose own arrogance ended her career. Click the video on screen to find out more.